Musk OpenAI lawsuit dismissed by jury. The statute of limitations became the deciding factor, not any judgment on OpenAI's evolution from nonprofit roots. This outcome removes a major overhang, just as OpenAI negotiates larger government and corporate deals. Expect xAI to face stiffer competition for top researchers now that Musk lacks this lever. He will likely push harder on regulatory lobbying in Washington to regain momentum before the end of next year or risk losing ground in the race for frontier models. Pope Leo XIV approves Vatican AI Commission. The choice of an interdicasterial structure suggests the Pope wants coordination across doctrine and culture offices, rather than another advisory board that gathers dust. That setup positions the Vatican to issue specific guidelines on AI uses in education and end-of-life care. Watch for European regulators to reference these documents when drafting rules for high-risk systems. Catholic universities may soon require vendors to audit models against dignity criteria before any procurement round. Firms without dignity-aligned features could lose access to those institutions by late next year. Eric Schmidt booed at Arizona commencement. Boos during a commencement address on workforce change highlight how quickly student sentiment has turned against optimistic AI narratives. Schmidt's experience suggests tech executives can no longer assume friendly audiences at universities. Google and Microsoft will likely send younger spokespeople to future events to avoid similar pushback. Expect more graduates to demand concrete retraining commitments from employers rather than vague promises about new opportunities. This reaction will ripple into how AI ethics get taught in business schools starting this fall. Agentic AI Foundation adds 43 new members. The raw count of new members matters less than the government agencies now shaping open agent standards at the table. Their participation means procurement rules could soon favor interoperable systems over proprietary ones from the biggest labs. Closed vendors must now decide whether to join or build parallel specifications that risk fragmentation across industries. Watch enterprise deals in regulated sectors move toward foundation-backed protocols within the next 12 months as standards solidify. The foundation gains real leverage in standards bodies that matter for defense and finance contracts. Claude Mythos cracks Apple M5 macOS security. The 5-day turnaround exposes how quickly frontier models compress exploit development. Apple must now classify AI tooling as a direct threat to silicon-level controls rather than an external curiosity. Expect stricter runtime attestation on future macOS updates that blocks AI-generated payloads at load time. Red Team shops without model access will fall behind on public disclosures within the year. This also pressures Anthropic to add usage guardrails that detect security-sensitive prompts. Teams without access will see disclosure lead times double. Driverless trucks launch in West Texas. Kodiak's deployment proves commercial viability on closed industrial routes first. Atlas now undercuts manned hauling costs enough to force other energy operators into similar pilots within the Permian and beyond. Traditional fleets must either retrofit sensors or exit long-haul contracts they currently win on labor alone. State DMVs gain the precedent they need to greenlight wider freight corridors by Q4 next year. Smaller automation startups now chase the same energy verticals or lose funding momentum by year-end. Bernstein flags chip stock for agentic AI. Bernstein's note shifts attention from training clusters to inference racks built for long-running agents. The flagged stock gains from sustained utilization rates that training alone never delivered. Foundries must reallocate capacity toward high-bandwidth memory production or watch orders move to rivals with better HBM yields. Smaller chip designers face steeper financing hurdles once enterprise agent deployments scale in the next 18 months. Interconnect suppliers now see rising margins as agent sessions lengthen. Expect allocation fights at the foundry by Q3. xAI adds Grok skills and Hermes agent. Persistent skills keep conversation state alive across every platform Grok touches. OpenAI must match the capability in ChatGPT within 9 months or watch power users migrate to sessions that actually remember prior tasks. Hermes adds autonomous improvement loops that expose how static most current agents remain. Developer pricing will face downward pressure once retention metrics become public later this year. The gap appears first in multi-day research workflows that teams run daily. Competitors without memory persistence lose enterprise pilots. UK students fear AI job loss unrest. Universities will feel the pull before governments do. Departments still teaching pure theory now face enrollment drops unless they embed agentic workflow training by the next intake cycle. The institutions that move first keep their international cohorts. Others lose the fee revenue that subsidizes research labs. Watch placement offices quietly lobby for tax credits that treat AI literacy as a core employability metric rather than an elective. Hive announces 320 megawatt sovereign AI infra. Power purchase agreements will now dictate which model labs can actually train in Canada. Hive's scale gives it leverage to negotiate priority access to new hydro capacity, leaving smaller operators bidding against each other for residual slots. Expect at least 2 U.S. frontier labs to open Toronto offices within the year, simply to secure reserved inference time. Otherwise, they face multi-month queues once the first racks go live. Spain AI startups secure record funding. Term sheets now embed clauses that cover cross-border compute access because Spain still lacks domestic clusters at scale. The startups that lock in multi-year reservations with Nordic or French providers will outpace peers who treat inference as a variable cost. Expect French groups to counter by opening satellite offices in Madrid within 18 months to poach the newly funded teams before they commit elsewhere. Agentic AI pushes chip demand off charts. Every new agent deployment now pulls forward orders that used to spread across 2 years of capacity planning. Foundries respond by shifting lines away from automotive and mobile toward high-power inference dies. The first visible result appears in 2026 phone launches that reuse 2025 silicon with only firmware tweaks. Qualcomm and MediaTek either accept lower volumes or pay premiums to secure any remaining slots.